Hey guys, Mike from Wrestling Done and Now. Thanks so much for checking out the Sin Bodhi Kizarny clips. There are two links in the description of this video. If you're an animal lover, you want to help Sin out with his animal farm, donate animal treats, donate animal supplies, you can check out the links. And thanks again for checking out the video.
What happened when you actually made it to the main roster though? And you worked what, just the one match with MVP?
I I did a bajillion like house shows, like live
Okay.
events and stuff.
Mhm.
But we filmed those vignettes in like one day um, uh, at the Ward Hall's World of Wonders, who is a friend of mine, and until he passed, and he'll be a friend of mine again someday. Um, but we filmed all that stuff one day, and then I was back in Florida, so I was really hardly ever there. And then all of a sudden, then they started bringing me up to do the house show stuff. And then the agents were happy with me, the producers, the fans liked it, boys were happy, everybody was happy. And then when it ended, just all of a sudden, it was like to this day I don't know why, but I've been there coaching, so I seem to get along with everybody just fine, So I don't. It's like breaking up with somebody with no closure. I have no idea, couldn't tell you why. Just all of a sudden, that's
Who
it.
were you working on the live events?
Wrestled probably mostly MVP, Chavo, Ryan Braddock, uh, Brian Myers, and Cardona was always kind of around or whatever, but guys like that. Some different other guys too, but mostly those guys. Um, but I remember like on all those live events, I was never like the curtain jerk guy, which is I think is the best spot in this. Like, unless you're in the main event, I think the first match to me is the most important match because it just
Sure.
sets the tone. Like you put those people in a good mood, bad mood, make them riveted, make them bored. It's up to you to emotionally kind of set the tone. And so I would have been happy to do that. I never asked for that spot, didn't ask for that spot. I just did what I was told, and they would always stick me somewhere in the middle, and which I think is the hardest spot
Sure.
to be honest, because it just you're sandwiched in between all this stuff, and like I'm on these shows with Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, Kane, Big Show, Undertaker, Triple H, all these awesome, tons of dudes, and like there wasn't a bad match on any of those shows, and like I'm right in the middle of it all. And I would always come back, and whichever producer I had, whether it was Arn or Dean or IRS or somebody like that, they were always happy. They were like, "Good job," put a little stamp on my little report card, a little shiny face, happy face, whatever. The workers never had a problem with whoever I worked. Everybody was always cool. MVP was cool. Chavo was cool. Everybody was always good. Um, and the fans seem to get a kick out of it because every time I do those shows, like I'm pretty much the indie guy on this star-studded, excuse me, card, and people would always seem to be into it. Like they'd be cheering and booing, doing all this stuff. Like, and I was a good guy too, which is weird. Like you're from that same era as me, where like if a new good guy came out, you cheered for him. If a new bad guy came out, you booed him. But
Right.
in this day and age, you
Right.
got to kind of like sort of earn whether they like you or not. Like I remember being at Maple Leaf Gardens with Edge and Christian, as little teeny boppers, and we saw Shane Douglas come out. We never saw him before. He was doing a dark match or whatever. I remember maybe wrestling, maybe Brooklyn Brawler, maybe. And he had his bleach blonde mullet, little pink, shiny, sparkly undies, abs, big smiley face, But he came out shaking his fist, smiling, and we went, "Yay! We don't know who this is, but he's the good guy." I think the jaded social construct of planet Earth nowadays isn't like that. You
Sure.
got to sort of earn that stuff. So when Vince wanted me to be a babyface, I was just like, in my head, I was thinking, man, let me just be a fun heel. And if I'm fun to hate, they'll like me within 10 seconds.
Right.
Let me go out there without the pressure of, being liked. Let me just be, I have no problems carrying the expectation of being entertaining. Let me do that to the best of my knowledge. And again, it's like Piper, most hated guy 85, most loved guy 86 or whatever it was. He was just so fun to hate. You liked him.
Right. Sure.
So I'm not going to compare myself to Roddy Piper or anything, but in the sense that like I was a fun bad guy. Whether I was creepy, silly, whatever I was doing, I was amusing. Like I was entertaining. And so let me do that. Let them enjoy watching me, whether I'm a good guy or bad guy, and then flip me good guy. I'll flip before you even know it. But that's what was in my head. I never said it to Vince, not once. I just said, "Okay, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir." And like when we had that match on SmackDown, it was like in the middle of like a double book, like a double taping, like a 4 hour taping, and it was in Jersey, which I think is kind of predominantly like a heel
Right.
crowd.
Yeah.
So I think the confusion of like, hey, is this guy a bad guy? Like, hey, we like the bad guy, so they kind of cheered me, like whatever, and and what was going against me in that was like, even though MVP was the heel, they're starting to get babyface sympathy on him because he's on this losing streak, so they're starting to feel
Right.
bad for the guy, so they have sympathy for the guy, and out comes this creepy dude. Oh, that's an easy story to have me come out as a heel, but I am a babyface.
Right.
And then, like, I think the match was like fine. It just wasn't the match we needed. And like, I didn't put that match together at all. And I'm very prideful of putting my stuff together. And like, I remember Johnny Ace saying, "This is what'll get you over, kid." And Johnny Ace put that whole fucking thing together. I'm like, okay, again, Hutchinson on my shoulder, like, be a good soldier, do what you're told. I'm like, yes, sir, yes, sir. And I didn't have any of the pecking order, street cred, any of the whatever, just the new guy. So I got no legs to pipe up or anything. And again, I've got Hutchinson on my shoulder just saying, say yes, sir, do what you're fucking told. So I do it exactly what Johnny Ace asked me to do. And I think, like, again, if it was just for a match, it was good. It was fine. It just wasn't what I needed to do. Like, I needed to go out there and beat the shit out of somebody in 2 minutes, done, or something. But what I did was I squeaked out a 10-minute victory on a guy on a losing streak, and I was underneath in that match quite a bit. So I'm like, I don't know that that's so impressive. And again, no knock on MVP. He's awesome. Like, he was
Right.
fun to work. He was a good dude, the big like legit dude. So, but just the way the stories were playing out was just like, and I remember even too, like, like they'll call stuff on the horn, like whoever, like in this case it was Johnny, and he's in the ref's ear, and the refs keeps on telling me to go back down in this hold. And I'm like, this is not where I need to fucking, like, I can listen to the crowd. I'm like, no fucking way I need to be sitting in this hole. It's just not happening. And so I'm like, la, 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 can't hear you. I get up and I,
Right.
get to it and I start doing whatever. And the ref's like, no, Johnny wants you to know. And I'm like, la, 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 like, what? I didn't, sorry. What did you say, Mr. Referee? And
Did,
again, like,
is Johnny the one
go
who
ahead.
called you to let you go?
Yep. He
And
sure was.
no reason.
Zero reason. Zero reason. And I will say, like, the reason he said was the creative's got nothing for you. The generic ass reason. And in my head, I'm thinking, fucking fire creative. Like, I'm a wrestler. I've traveled the fucking world. I've, trained my ass off. I live and breathe this stuff. If some writer, from Friends or Conan or whatever that's never set foot in a wrestling, if he can't think of nothing for me, that's on him, not on me. You know, and I always just got banned every time I hear that. Somebody said, "Oh, creative's got nothing for you." Fucking fire creative. You know, like, I think wrestling is the easiest thing to write for. Like, it's the exact opposite of movies. Like, I remember going up to the producers and humbly, supers, like, I never peacocked my peacock feathers around them. I never paraded around, a diva around them. I went up to them so humbly and was just like, guys, I appreciate that I'm the sort of the weird dude. If you need anything from me or need any ideas or you want to spitball with me or whatever, I'm happy to do that. I don't want to, and I try to make it sound like, I don't remember exactly how I said it, but like, I don't want to do your job for you, but I certainly want to help
Right.
you.
Right.
Let me help you. And they're like, oh yeah, yeah. And every time I gave them an idea, they're like, oh, that's a great idea. And
Right.
they crumble it up and throw it in the trash can. And I'm like, okay. But like Chris DeJoseph, he was always cool. Freddie Prinze Jr., he was always cool. Like, some guys were pushing for me, but just stuff that was like anything that I ever suggested never saw the light of day.
Let's plug your stuff.
Okay. Social media is my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram is all Sin Bodhi, SINNBODHI. So if promoters want to book me for an appearance, to wrestle, to do a seminar, happy to do any of that stuff. I do it all the time. I fly out somewhere and I wrestle and do a seminar just about every weekend, someplace, somewhere. And then also too, I make the custom LJNs. So like the rubber wrestlers, the figures, about the 8-inch figures from the 80s. I kind of make sort of modern versions, more of a history. Like I'll make the ones that I kind of want to make, and then fans or other indie guys will be like, "Oh, that's cool what you made. Could you make one of me or my buddy or my husband or my wife or my whatever?" And I'll say, "Yes, I can." And that's where I kind of make my money off the figures, is not making like a nostalgic figure from that I like. It's more like showing that off, and then fans or more indie guys saying, "Could you make one of me?" So I'll make the money doing mostly that. So if you want an LJN figure of yourself or your favorite wrestler or your buddy or whoever it is, send me a message. Happy to do it. And just about all the profits from any of the things I just mentioned, whether I'm wrestling or doing seminars or making the LJN figures, um, besides keeping the lights on and the food in the fridge, that money goes to feeding our animals here at our little funny farm on the edge of Death Valley, just outside of Las Vegas. So we've got chickens and goats, turkeys, ducks. I got a giant tortoise about the size of a lawnmower. I've got a mini Texas Longhorn walking around my backyard. I've got dogs, cats, one of Jake the Snake's wrestling snakes. I've got all sorts of critters. The wildest of beasts are my wife and my daughter, so they're all here. Everybody, all the wild critters are here. But yeah, so many different creatures. So if you want to donate for any of that, um, my wife has like sort of like an Amazon wish list where we don't want money from anybody, but like people want to donate like goat treats or cans of case of cat food or stuff like that. That's always super duper useful.
Hey guys, Mike from Wrestling Then and Now. Thanks so much for checking out the Sin Bodhi Kizarny clips. There are 2 links in the description of this video. If you're an animal lover, you want to help Sin out with his animal farm, donate animal treats, donate animal supplies, you can check out the links. And thanks again for checking out the video.